31. Why aren't we live yet?
Yeah.
Live TV, like one little glitch, and here we are.
The time is the time. Someone once told me that if you're not on time, you're late.
That's right, especially from the artillery. Junior Herman, you're straight in there,
Right
my
on.
man. Great to see you. Great. I hope you and Tash had a fantastic Christmas and New Year, mate. That when you're in the artillery, mate, you're on time, you're on target, and you're safe always. That's it. There's the only 3 criteria that you must meet.
There you go. Timmy McGregor, yes, we're back on. I know, I'm sorry, we took a few weeks off, but here we are, we're back. And I promise, at least for the next month or so, I think we're all scheduled in for the next month, and I don't have any foreseeable reasons why we wouldn't be here every Wednesday night, mate.
Mate, we're gonna be here every Wednesday night for the rest of the year and beyond. Beyond. Bradley James is on, Chris Phillips is here. Actually, Tim McGregor, I spoke to John and Sarah today where they did their end of bill coaching, mate. And he said, you're not a bad bloke. I said, he's more than that. He's a bloody top fella. So, mate, I know that they're very, very, very thankful for the chats you guys have been having with them as well. Sammy Wynn's on board as well. Sammy, I want to know how things are going with your house, because I looked at where it's up to on our back end system. I'm like, they've already fucking gone past the frame stage. Like, it's actually being erected really, really quickly, which is bloody cool. So I'd love to hear about that, Sammy. Kelly Marie's on board as well, and Tammy's downstairs. I thought she might have been joining us tonight, but we're certainly going to see lots of her on Wednesday night next week.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an absolute ripper session next week, so looking forward to it. We'll tell everyone more about that a little bit later. But what have you guys been up to? Like, what did you do? What did everyone do? We haven't been here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
While RT's going through and telling everyone what he did on his amazing holidays, just let him jump in there on the chat there and just let us know, like, what did you get up to for Christmas? What was your favourite thing? And, like, I don't know, are you back at work yet? What's going on in your world? Let us know what you've been up to. But I'll go to you first, RT. What did you get up to over the break, mate?
Mate, bottom line up front, Tam and I didn't go anywhere per se. As everyone knows, we took yourself and the rest of the crew to the little old Daydream Island for a few days for our annual getaway, Mr. Taxman. What was that, in the first week of December, which was really, really cool. I think we spoke about that during the last time. But yeah, mate, look, we didn't go anywhere. We actually did a cool little staycation. We did a staycation at the Sheridan Mirage, just opposite where our bloody office is, quite frankly, just up there at Southport. So that was good. I was swimming in the pool and having bloody pina coladas and whatever else, and I could close my eyes and think I was in Fiji or Hawaii. But it was good to sort of go and stay somewhere nice. So that's all we did really, and then we just sort of came back here, and then I guess we had a couple of house parties, we had a couple of birthdays, we had a couple of engagement parties. So I guess the week immediately following New Year's was a bit hectic, and then all of last week was just pump the brakes and just come back down to earth a little bit and just get back into normality. So yeah, that was really cool actually. Now, the highlights that I had over the Christmas break was we had 3 superstar clients pass through the Gold Coast here. Obviously weren't caught up with the border closures and COVID and whatever else, and we're able to catch up with them and have like a nice little lunch or a couple of beers or a little catch up. So I always find it very unique and interesting and exhilarating and a little bit scary, whereby you've spoken to someone for like 12 months on a Zoom call, never actually met them face to face. You know everything about their finances, everything about their family, everything about their hopes and dreams, everything about the things they're shitting themselves, and they've probably bought a house under our guidance and tuition, never fucking met them. So it's always really, really cool. And, you're right, Dan, some people are like, great, geez, Robbie, you're a little bit shorter than what I thought you'd be.
Hey, you're inside my OODA loop. How did you know I was going to bring that up again? It's my favourite one. That's brilliant, mate. That sounds like how nice is it, though, to be able to go and do that face-to-face meeting finally after so much time? And I mean, it's one of those exciting things that hopefully as sort of the vaccine and vaccination start rolling out over this year and the world hopefully becomes a bit more free, or even in particular Australia, hopefully we can get out there and do it a lot more from that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, do you want to just sort of go off the back of that? Speaking of face-to-face, as I look at the legends that are on tonight,
mate,
Sammy, when he's talking about just follow her social media, traveling with CNN, that's all right. Amana Lewis was there. Margie Grunsell's on. See you on Saturday, hopefully, Margie. Ben Jefferson, great to speak to you today, mate. Brownie's checking out that beard and that mo. Robbie, Brownie, I spent many months over in Afghanistan trying to be one of the fucking cool kids, and it never worked once. It just got itchy, it got patchy, it got grey, it just didn't fucking work. I was like sprinkling fertilizer on my head, trying to fucking make my mow and my bloody beard grow to be one of the cool kids, and it never happened. So I was just, but eventually it got to a point where everyone in the SOTG compound had a beard, except for probably, I'll say 10 of us. We became the fucking cool kids. It did a full 180. We're like, no, fuck the beards. It's too hot, or it's too cold, or it's too itchy, or it's too long. Guys had fucking bloody beards and moustaches that was so long. We used to call them the walking bloody soup strainer. They'd go and have some food, and they just had fucking food all around their mouths because their beards were that fucking Wild West that was out of control.
Let's keep it nice and clean. So
I'm talking about food from the mess.
Let's bring us back onto topic. So I suppose what you're alluding to there, Mr. Turner, is being able to catch up with our clients, and it's very telling that Brownie, you're here at the moment, because Brownie, I know you are absolutely devastated when this got cancelled last time. So it's my absolute pleasure just to let everyone know who's in that Southeast Queensland or is able to travel to Southeast Queensland by the 6th of February. So let me just check my calendar. The 6th of February, it is absolutely Saturday afternoon. The event that we were going to have last year that got cancelled because the massive storm rolled through and bloody destroyed a whole lot of houses out there in sort of the Western Corridor as it came through into We've moved it forward. We told you it was going to be delayed and it was still going to happen. So everyone get your calendar out. Put the little note in the calendar there. On the 6th of February, we're now going to be hosting a Brisbane meetup for all of our clients. So it's bloody exciting, mate. I really can't wait to see some of these people. Brown's probably sitting there going like, now I need to book my hotel again. I need to make sure Renee and Ruben get there. I need to make sure. Good news, Brownie. I've already told Sim and Connor that they need to be there, mate. So you get the crew together again, buddy, and we'll be there.
See, Noah's just placed it in there, RSVP to amy@axonproperty.com.au, and then just go to that link. Maybe if there's a little space in between .au and the link, that'd be better there. There we go. She's making it all fixed up better now. Go ahead and get it all sorted.
That'll be an absolute there you go. Brownie, she's like, yep, can't wait. Those couple of cocktails that you wanted to have, Brownie, I'm sure we can do that, mate.
Now, we need you and I, young Daniel, and in fact you, Dane, may I say, we all need to place a bit of a caveat on this because everyone's like, yeah, fuck, let's go and have a beer with the boys. We're time out on the beers because we're on 75 hard and Dane hasn't had a drop this year either. So we're all pinging on bloody full cylinders. So we'll be all there. Hopefully they serve Great Northern Zero or Heineken Zero. I'm more than happy to have one of those with you, but no beers for us. No beers for us, unfortunately. But that means you're going to get us in our full splendor.
That's absolutely right. What happened to you over Christmas then, Dane? Why are you down to 0 beers for 2021 so far?
I had about 1,000 beers last year. So I've had enough beers for 2 years, mate. And my waistline was showing that. So, mate, we hosted Christmas. So we had 22 people here, 5 days. I couldn't wait for them to get the fuck out, honestly, by the end of it. We were mopping them as they left, you know. So we stepped over the border, went to Byron for a little bit. So that was good for me, man. Just a bit of, phone sort of down to a minimum, just a bit of R&R, just good food. So it was really good to just recharge the batteries and had a pretty big New Year's and then came back and just off the grog a bit and then saw Robbie with the 75 hard. I was like, mate, I'm already not drinking, so yeah, why not? So it's been pretty good, man. It's been really, really good. What about yourself, dude? What did you get up to?
Mate, this Christmas was actually Anne and my first Christmas in our forever home where we're going to be forever. So we actually took a little bit of a time out, and it was probably a few months after we moved in here. We said, if you want to see us over Christmas, you're coming to us because we're just going to down tools. We're going to relax at home. Like with the 2 youngsters, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to travel anywhere, to be honest, and no one's really going anywhere. So, mate, over the Christmas period, we just down tools, hung around the house, did lots of swimming in the pool, but he caught up on a couple of chores around the place that needed to be done. And then post-Christmas, I headed up to visit my parents and just kept an eye on the old man because he was slaving away in the shed, building the boat that we've got going on the way. So mate, just making sure that project's underway. So come February, Kent and Tash, I saw your fishing competition over Christmas. I saw that Tash caught more fish than Kent and bigger fish. So I'm gonna make it a bit of a deal that hopefully by mid-year, mate, I can go ahead and make sure that we've got some even bigger fish on those pictures for you as well. So that'd be good. Yeah, that's pretty much me. Family time, family time, family time.
Hey, Dan, I've got a bit of a challenge for you. You and I are good at this. Little Miss or Mr. We Lovers there has said, hey, it's International Barefoot Day. This is totally out of the blue. We did not know about this. I'm putting my fucking feet on the screen. I'm fucking sitting here bare feet. Absolutely I am. No issue. There you go. Fucking bang that on your body.
Everyone's.
Robbie, do you have pants on?
Just like a news presenter, what you see from there below fucking doesn't matter.
Mate, I don't even know who that is, but
Me either.
So if you guys
this is the thing
would be appreciated. Yeah, WWE lovers, we're in, mate. We're all barefoot bandits right now. We're off and racing. Don't you worry about that,
mate. What about when we do the videoing in the office? We're barefoot there as well. No one can tell. It's fucking gold.
There we go, Tammy. Ignore the spam.
Ignore the spam.
Obviously, this session is actually more than just about us getting together and having a chin wag. Although it does form probably the most Debbie gross. There you go. It does form probably one of the best times during the week where we do get together and have a conversation about what's been going on in Axon land and what's been going on in our respective teams as we go through the year. So, so as we go through the year, so it's a good opportunity for us to get together. But if you're sitting there at home, long-time listeners, first-time callers, everybody who's there, I've got no doubt that there's 1,000 questions that people have got because people have probably started thinking, hey, it's 2021. It's time for me to make some moves. It's time for me to take some steps. But you've probably got a bunch of really good questions there as well. So feel free, put some questions in there. It might even be about property eventually.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, you guys are now as the two primary coaches of Axon. What have you had? You've had probably 5 or 6 discovery sessions in the first couple of days with another 15 sitting there ready to go. So let me just say, as an outsider looking into what's happening with the coaching these days, the demand and the inquiry and the willingness to learn more about one's ADF housing entitlements, especially for those people that just got posted to Brisbane, for instance, has never been higher. Like I can't remember a time whereby there's 20 odd new people that want to have a discovery session with us after watching one of our online tutorials going, you guys are fucking awesome. Can you guys now help me buy and build my own home here in Brisbane, for instance, be that Enoggera or Amberley, because that is absolutely the best market in Australia from a value for money, rental yield and expected capital growth. Because here's the thing, unless you're going to move into your own dream home like the Hermers have done, for instance, it's only going to ever be an investment property. So it's not your sort of forever home there. So I don't know, Dan, you and I have been banging on this for quite a while now. If I was in the military and I just got posted to Brisbane and I wasn't getting coached or guided about how to put a plan in place to use my ADF housing entitlements, I'll be fucking silly, quite frankly. So it's an absolute no-brainer because there's all those other people in Townsville, Darwin, Perth, Adelaide, Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne. Then the markets are either too expensive or the markets are shit, and they're like, "Fuck, I've only got a couple of years to go. I'm going to miss out on my HPAS if I don't use it soon." But all those people that do get to be posted to a really great location get to benefit the most.
100%. Just a quick one. I want to give a shout out to someone who just funneled sort of up was Chris and Anthea Lee. Their block registered this week. So that's fantastic news for them. And we hold you very close to our hearts, you two. And your stuff is really kicking into gear. So definitely a shout out. I don't want you to fall through the cracks. We've got our first question there as well.
Well done.
Chris Gillis, DHA, is it a good choice to manage property? Would you buy a DHA property board?
Over to you, Dan. I mean, you and again, you and I have tag teamed on this a number of occasions over the last couple of years. But yeah, like that's a great question, Chris. Thank you so much, buddy. Listen up.
Yeah, all right. I won't be greedy. I'll just take one or two of them. Chris, I suppose you already know buddy, that one of the fundamentals when you're thinking about going to get an investment property is choosing the right location. It's the number one question you should be asking yourself is like, where is the right location for me to go and get this property?
Yeah.
As RT sort of just alluded to, is like, if you're getting posted to Southeast Queensland, you should be going ahead and grabbing your entitlements, right? But there is very, very few people out there that actually get postings to Southeast Queensland because the other postings are Townsville and Darwin and Adelaide and Perth and sort of some of the areas of Sydney there where if you want to be getting a DHA property down there, you're like in millions.
Yep.
Pay for money, right? Wherever there is postings are where they're going to put DHA properties. Regardless of whether it's managed by DHA or not, I don't believe in going to buy an investment property in any of those other locations that we go through every time we speak about the right type of property and where to buy it and so on and so forth. And we'll do a refresh version for 2021. So for me, the fundamental reason why I don't touch it even from an investment perspective from DHA is because it's not in the right locations. 99% of the time, they're just trying to find people that can buy houses in those locations that I don't believe are in the right location to be going up in value over the long term. So choosing the right location is the number one thing. On top of that, it comes down to the numbers. And Dane, you're a numbers good man. Like, have you looked into? You've looked in obviously into the DHA stuff and what
100%,
hold the property with DHA.
Yeah, 100%. So they charge, I think, 16.5%. So, which is a lot higher than any rental manager's fees you're going to encounter. And everyone goes, oh, it's great. They're going to paint my house in 15 years. That's fine. But the other thing I don't like about it is they have a third-party valuer who tells you what rent they're going to charge. Like, you can't say, hey, can we get this in the market and see how we go? It's not up to you. So I don't like that loss of control that you have with them. You're pretty much just the person that's holding that asset, and they're just getting everything out of it.
Yeah.
You know? And then you just end up with a property out in fucking your Manto or something out the back end of Ipswich, which you don't want, right?
Correct.
What about you, RT? You got any more you want to throw into that?
I'm just thinking about the exact conversation, boys, we had in the office today, whereby one of the premium investment areas that we've been able to find a number of properties for our clients over the last year or so, a lot of them are now finished being built. And the estimate as far as rent was going to go, Dane, to your point, was going to be $470 or $480 a week rent. Now you look at all the rental properties in that area because of the demand has been so high and the supply has been a little bit low. Now they're going to get $540 a week rent, not $470. Give or take $10 a week rent. So I mean, it's such a good news fucking story when you don't have a third party person involved who's going to dictate to you what market rent will be. When you're working with us like an expert team who can like coach and guide you and give you the confidence, you just go and ask for, $60-70 a week more than what you're expecting. And it just balloons the figures straight away and makes it so easy to hold, but it also makes sure your second property comes along so much quicker. How good.
Yeah. Yep. And for clarity, like that property is nowhere near a defence base. You couldn't get a DHA property because it's nowhere near a defence property. It's well outside all of the radiuses. But on the flip side, that makes it absolutely stellar for people who are in the defence force that only want an investment property that they never have to live in because it's outside of posting radiuses from that perspective as well.
Yeah.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, it is.
All right. What do we got there? Brownie Brown. Can you bring that one up, please, for me, Noah? Question, can you help people, one ex-army and one still serving, so they're a couple, who have already bought, they're not new, but looking to renovate a property? So that's their plan. How do you help people who have already bought, like not a older property that they want to renovate to start off their property portfolio? Have you got any comments, I suppose? Who wants to go first? Dane, you know what? You go first, man. Like, what's your commentary, first part of Brownie's question there, about people who are looking to go do the renovation? And I tell you, Dane, because I know that you've got a ripper story that you need to tell people. Which you never told us before you joined Axon, even though...
That's a great story.
I took 6 months to actually tell Dan because I was embarrassed. So one of the things, the very first property I ever bought was an existing property, right? So I bought that, my juices are flowing, this is great. Get in, and the waterproofing had subsided and then ended up giving way in the property. But when you get a building inspector, right, when they're doing that and they come through and they just got disclaimers, I poked my head in the roof, mate, but I can't see anything because the insulation, I've done this, I couldn't get there because someone's bag was there, and there was all this stuff. But I ended up with a $25,000 bill, and I had nowhere to point it at. And from there, I was converted to new builds, right, because we had someone accountable for that. We had the builder on the hook. There's warranties. There's appliance, like everything that's in there, we can hold people accountable, which I really, really like. When you're getting an existing property, it's just, you don't know what you're going to get. You can get as many building inspectors through there as you want, but I'm telling you right now, none of them are going to go like, this is definitely what's happening. They'll just go, oh, couldn't see it, mate. So just read the back of my report. Have a good one. Thank you very much for coming. Yeah. So I think, it's definitely, for me, I see the risk in that, and I just wouldn't put my name to it by saying, yeah, this is great, we'll get it and renovate it. Suddenly it's another $40,000 more than you think. And, mate, how long's a piece of string?
Yeah. RT, you got anything else?
It's not something we specialise in for the reasons that's part of the reason, Dane. and don't get me wrong, the likelihood of something going wrong buying a second-hand property, especially a property that's only 3 or 4 years old, because the building standards of Australia have really, really risen lately, is pretty low, but the consequences are fucking disastrous. So I guess it's just one of those things about whether you want to sort of walk down that minefield about buying a property and doing a reno. But if you're already committed to doing that, as a lot of other, the Block's on every now and then, and there's Cherie Barber and Margaret Lomas and a whole lot of other sort of Aussies that have helped a number of Australians have a successful property journey and make a lot of money doing renovations. It's just not what we specialise in. So you can buy units, you can buy older houses and do a knockdown rebuild like Tamara and I doing. Literally, I'll fucking show you the photo from today. That's our forever block.
That's my style. Just knock down.
Now has a fucking D9 bulldozer on it, right? So that's like, I know what's going on from a knockdown.
That's a good renovation.
Perspective. There's no fucking renos on that. The D9 bloody did the reno for me. So I guess there's lots of different ways of using property successfully to achieve whatever your goals are. And I guess you just need to be able to find someone, Brandy, to answer your question. Find someone that specialises in helping people do renovations, but that's not what we do. Cool.
There's another part of the question there. Dan, do you want to field that one? How can you, as an ADF entitlement specialist, help a couple where only one member is serving?
Mate, at the end of the day, when you start thinking about your entitlements, mate, it's normally, with the exception of HPAS anyway, which is one per service member, all your defence entitlements are basically, defence and government entitlements are all geared towards one family unit anyway. So we got like 95% of our clients are either a single defence member or a couple with a non-defence serving member spouse. So we're used to doing that. That's pretty much exactly the norm. At the end of the day, like, we do property stuff. We talk about the tail wagging the dog, right? Your entitlements are just the tail. The dog is your strategy. So you need to have your strategy going forward and don't let the entitlements wag it. We just plug them in where it's the right and most appropriate point in time to do that. And you just go ahead and actually square that away. My last safe round for people who think renovations is a great idea is I kind of bring them in line. You're flat earthers. I can tell you the world is a round. It's a sphere. I can tell you that till I'm blue in the face, but you're not going to believe me until you go to space and see it yourself. Renovations are shit, but you're not going to believe me until you go do it yourself. So go and scratch that itch. Go be a flat earther for a little while, and once you've figured out that it's shit house and you won't want to do it again, I'll speak to you then. That's pretty it. Yeah. Much it.
And just to be, I'm feeling very soft tonight.
Wow.
And just to, because normally I would have fucking teed off on this by now in a much greater way, Dan. But I guess just pure, and the reason why Dan has that opinion is because he's been working with me literally side by side for the last 3 years and was my client for 2 years before that. So we've had chats about property for fucking many indoor cricket seasons. I've been doing property coaching now for 8 years. In another few months' time, in April, will be my 8-year anniversary where I didn't get the opportunity to put a uniform on again. So that time has flown. And if I have not spoken to probably 1,000 clients over that 8-year period, fuck, it feels like 500 every year right now with Axon. But there's probably 1,000 odd clients or so that I've spoken to, and there's probably about 100 clients that I've spoken to out of that, say 10% or so, that have wanted to do a renovation or have done a renovation. And when I've given them the blessing to go, yep, you want to go do a reno because you're a flat earth person, when you've done that reno and it's gone so well and you've made all your equity, come back and we can put a plan in place to do it the Axon way. Or tell me about a renovation that you've done and then tell me how much you can't wait to do that again because it went so well. I have never, ever coached a client that has made money from a renovation and then were able to they were happy with the property asset class. They couldn't wait to do it again, and they thought that was going to solve all their problems. So it's not based on opinion. It's not based on rhetoric. It's actually based on stats. Happy for Brownie, your friends, to be the first one that breaks the mold. I'll be more than happy to sit here and go, I'm fucking absolutely stoked for them. But the numbers don't lie, mate. That's just how it is.
Absolutely.
There you go. That was a cracking question.
You are very like, I'm chill, I'm soft. And I've said this over and over again over the last little while. That's the way you've been heading for some time, Matt. So just the next level of the progression from you. Can we just rip up there Sammy Wynn's question there? You previously mentioned units aren't the best way forward when having investment properties. But in the areas that you look at for your clients, what are your thoughts on duplexes?
Interesting. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first? Dane.
Go
Dane.
I'll run one on. I've had a couple of coffees, so I'm good to go. There's a my biggest one is cash flow. So with units, you're going to have body corp, right? You have your sinking fund and your admin fund. As a building degrades over time, those costs will go up, right? So when that happens is, compared to a duplex, which just has a building insurance, you don't actually have a body corp. It's not strata title per se. Your body corp is never paid off, is one of the things that I can never see. So even if you turn around, you went and bought a unit and you're living there right on the beach and so on and so forth, your body corp and some of those bigger buildings, like especially, you look at Focus over there in on the Gold Coast, body corp's at $300 a week, mate. So even if you paid your property off and you're trying to retire or anything like that, you're always going to have an outlay there that is surplus to any other of the investment class of properties. Duplexes, you don't have that. So I think there is definitely a place for duplexes, whereas units, I can just see that just being something that can just cost and cost and cost and cost.
That's one part of it. Go for it, Dan.
I'm kind of with Dane on duplexes. The biggest thing for me, and I sort of spoke about this earlier when I spoke to Chris about DHA, you just can't sacrifice on the location. And if you want to go to one of the locations that we're speaking about now in those premium areas and stuff like that, you need to make sure that you're getting into the right location. And if you want to do duplexes in those locations, bring your checkbook. Just bring your checkbook. And if it's the right thing for you in your portfolio at that point in time to enable your entire portfolio to function better off, then I'll be I'm not opposed to it. And in fact, if it's the right thing for your portfolio, I'll be the first one that says, absolutely, let's go get that shit done. But you can't sacrifice. I remember speaking to a dude who was like, I'm going to do a duplex, and it was out in the back of Toowoomba or something like that. It's it's going to be amazing. I'm like, it's in Toowoomba. I don't fucking care how amazing it is. It's not the right location. Nail the location. So I suppose what, Sammy, you're talking about there is if you can get into the locations that we're talking about and being able to do a duplex, and you've got the funds behind you to be able to make that happen because it costs a little bit more to be able to do a duplex, I'm not opposed to it, mate. Just good luck finding it, because when you go into those really highly sought after master plan communities, there's very strict covenants on who can actually bring a duplex into that and where you can put those duplexes and if you can actually get your hands on them. So it's scarce as hen's teeth to be able to get the right property to be able to do it. So if you can get your hands on one of those and you can fund it and it's the right location and it's right for your property portfolio, gold.
Yeah, as you're speaking there, Dan, so you know where CJ and Sam's property is. There's a number of duplexes in that estate, a very small number, and they're only reserved for the big corner blocks. And I'm sure there's a couple of exceptions, Sammy, but I'm pretty sure the developer, i.e. the people that own the land where you're building your home, they've reserved those big corner blocks for themselves because they want to build duplexes on there. So and they're gonna go large, mate. They'll be $700,000, $900,000 properties, maybe two, 3 bedroom, or maybe two-story 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom properties there. So they are good, but they're bloody hard to get hold of. And not every builder builds duplexes either. So it really narrows down your opportunity to work with a premium builder, a la what you guys are doing. So but you're absolutely right, Dan. Your closing comment was spot on. For the right person, for the right strategy, for the right purpose, at the right time, yes.
Don't get me wrong. It is a more advanced element. From my perspective, it's not the first property you go and buy as a duplex property. Because when you start talking about how duplexes can create capital growth and so on and so forth, who do you start actually looking for that are going to live in those properties? So where do you want your property to be? There's a lot more moving pieces there you need to be nailed down when you're doing it as well. So, Sammy, if it suits your circumstances, man, I'll bang it in there. I'll get it done. But it's very rare that it's actually suitable from that perspective.
Yeah, it's for much more advanced investors, but most people don't want to be spending $700,000-800,000 in an area where the median price for a 4-bedroom home is $475. So you're buying way above the market value, which is, got its pros and cons as well. Yeah. Hey, Dave, what are you most looking forward to this year, mate? So I guess we finished off last year, if you remember, gents, whereby we had all the team members come and join us on that Zoom, on the Facebook Live here. So just quickly, Chris Phillips, dual living houses is pretty much what we're talking about. Duplexes, dual living, dual key, whatever you want to call it. That's the same thing, mate. Same thing from that sort of perspective. And Sean, I've just saw your question there. Dane, what are you most looking forward to this year, mate? Because you're sort of branching out now, and you're being a coach with Dan and taking a much more active role in the front end strategy building and finance compilation, which you're an expert at already from your own financial planning background. But yeah, what's sort of your thoughts on what 2021 is going to bring you personally and Axon, and then maybe even a couple of comments on the market, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you look at last year and how everything got really bolstered around the housing market. And I always say there's an old saying like houses first, shares second, they used to say.
Yeah.
And it was really evident last year in March, when the share portfolio, like everyone's shares went down and banks turned around and said, we're not going to pay you dividends anymore. We don't know what's going on because of COVID. But as soon as anything went towards the housing market, the government really came in and bolstered around it. There were grants, there was, telling banks to join Team Australia and delay payments, all that sort of stuff, because a lot of people's wealth in Australia is around their property portfolio. And the government aren't silly. Economists aren't telling them, they know that. So no one cared for the share market when that happened. They were just like, oh, well, that's for people who've got excess money. But when it came to houses, it was a very different story. So I see the house market being very strong throughout this year. I just can't see the government allowing a dip, where they can turn around and say, oh, well, we can't help out. Everyone's just got to take a hit. That's not going to happen because it's going to be absolute carnage. So they will really bolster around it. So I think it'll keep, it had a very strong year this year. In retrospect, when everyone talked about COVID and the effects and all the stuff that was going to happen, I didn't really see any effects through it. If anything, actually looked the other way. Like stuff was it was really difficult to get land.
Oh.
There was a lot of people around trying to, get into the market and get, onto it with the home builder grant. So I see that still, increasing throughout this year. For myself, at Axon, yes, starting sort of, I guess, taking over Team 2, if that can be said, with probably becoming the Team 3 and one day Team 50 or whatever you.
Look at all these fucking questions coming in. Sorry, mate. I'm just distracted by all these. We're going to read out all this stuff, mate. It's just so good. Like everyone's going forward like a spring, which is good.
Yeah. Just a lot of stuff that's happening at Axon, man. Like there's talking about the podcast and just so many things are happening there, and I can just see that just being something that happens this year that's just going to grow and grow and grow. I'm really keen just to see where that goes.
What about you, mate? So we've got Dan who's joined us. Another Dan, for fuck's sake. D-Dub, we call him.
Daniel. His name is Daniel. Thank you.
His name is Way. So Dan's joined us now, and he's our videographer. How are you thinking, Dane, about having that bloody rig and that dial of yours bloody spread across the internet on our YouTube channel?
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to that.
Well, he's already getting into me today. He's like, you got to do this a lot. You got to sit here. You got to do that. So, mate, I'm loving it. Have him on board.
So good.
Absolutely.
So good. Good, mate. It's as I said to you today in the office, just the energy and your vibe and the way you're just, speaking and just you're in the office at the moment. Like I haven't seen you as happy. I think now because you've got your training wheels off, you've learned how to be a property specialist and you've mastered that role. You worked extremely hard, predominantly with Dan and a little bit with myself over the last 6 weeks of last year. And I just there is just dozens of defense clients that are going to benefit from you being their coach so much, which I know they're just going to absolutely love, mate. So yeah, it's gold.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, great. Do you want to read out some more questions then, Dan? Because they just keep on coming.
Yeah. What? Yeah, Debbie, what are you doing? Still hiring the Ds?
Yes.
This is. I reckon Sean Leonard's got a cracking question here, which sort of piggybacks almost off what Dane was saying there. So, what effect should we get to see from the eventual opening of international borders and travel on Australia's different property markets? How will this impact current landlord? Actually, let's just break it up. Let's do the first bit first. What do you think will happen? Let's say whatever needs to happen before the federal government says, okay, we can open the borders, whether that's vaccination, so on and so forth. Dane, what do you think, I suppose, the first effect of international borders being open for? I think the biggest thing that is really going to change things is international migration from the sort of mid to long term. So what do you think the effect will be, bud?
Well, a lot of people are probably looking at Australia and seeing how fucking good it is to be here.
Yeah.
Through COVID, you hear stories about like stuff that's happening in Indonesia. Like just, it feels like can't look at America at the moment. This sort of stuff. So like people are looking at, you're wanting to go to a safe democracy So I think it's only going to be positive for the housing market. And I'm with you, man. I think once we do have the vaccinations take place, migration will kick back into gear. And why wouldn't you want to live in Oz?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we've seen the interstate, and this kind of answers, Megan, a little bit of your question here when you're talking about, has Brisbane been the best place for a while, or do the good locations fluctuate a lot? Like, one of the reasons why I am specifically banging on about Brisbane at the moment, and we've been talking about sort of the Central Coast and the Newcastle regions of New South Wales as well for some period of time. The reason we're talking about that is just that interstate migration that is occurring at the moment. You've got loads of people that are moving up from Melbourne because, Melbourne was in lockdown for fucking months. And then all of a sudden, those people that are in Sydney also are starting to move further and further north. In particular, what you're starting to see, though, is where people used to have to be in the office every single day of the week to be able to do their job right, all of a sudden employers after COVID have gone, hang on a minute, maybe you don't need to be in the office every single day of the week. And all of a sudden you've got a whole lot of people that used to have to be CBD-centric, call it Brisbane CBD, Sydney CBD, Melbourne CBD, used to have to be very CBD-centric to do their jobs. All of a sudden, now they don't have to go to the office 2 days a week. They're like, hang on a minute, I can go and live somewhere else a little bit further abroad that's still one commutable distance for me on those 2 days that I'm going to work, and be very happy with a bigger block of land, a bigger house, more of the amenities that I want for my family, and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, I think when I'm talking about Brisbane, I'm also talking about now other regions that are sort of one locatable distance away from those CBDs that are going to be most highly sought after at this point in time. And I suppose when you mentioned Cairns, mate, like you tell me what's happened to the international tourism market over the last 12 months, mate. Yep. Like that tourism is not going to be the first thing that opens up from a borders perspective on the international front. Like, it's going to be one of the later things that comes in there. Sure, we really do like the tourist dollar coming into Australia, but it's not going to be at the they're not going to jeopardize the safety from a COVID perspective in order to get the tourist dollar back in. So Cairns isn't my number one pick because I'll be very deeper than that. I like to be near capital cities. I want population.
Yeah, it goes deeper than that. I'll just go back to my previous comment. It's not about opinion or rhetoric, even though we give plenty of that as well. It's about the stats and data. My wife bought a property up in Cairns. Fuck, we've known each other like 10 years now, and I reckon she bought it just before that. So let's say 10 years or so ago, Megan, and you're a reasonably new name on here, so I don't know how long you've been following us, and welcome. I'm so glad maybe even if it's your first time, you're happy to jump on there and ask a question straight away.
Ripper.
We've got this thing called the 7 ingredients to a healthy property market, whereby there needs to be booming medical, retail, transport, education, a limited land supply, booming population growth, and master plan communities. Now, Cairns is a freaking amazing place to visit and go and spend a week up there with your family and then go home again. And a lot of people go up there to retire, but that doesn't necessarily place upward pressure on the housing markets. That property she bought 10 years ago, if it's worth $1 more than what she bought it 10 years ago, she'd probably be fucking happy with that. Yes, the rent returns, Megan, take care of the mortgage, and the rent returns are not too bad. But when you're in the accumulation phase, buddy, the one thing that matters above all else is buying an area where you have sustained and low risk capital growth. I don't give a fuck if you make $5,000 a year profit on the rent. That's fuck all if you can buy a property somewhere else that goes up by $50,000. So you must nail down the location. I actually had a wonderful young guy. He goes, I'm in the Navy. I've been following you guys for ages. You guys are awesome. I love your live Q&As. I was like, okay, sweet. This guy wants our assistance. I said, tell me more about your circumstance, mate. He goes, I just got posted to Cairns and I just bought a house or settled last week. I want to use my HPAS. Can you guys help me? And I'm like, fuck. Why and how did you fucking buy a property in Cairns if you've been following us for a while? So it's, and to be fair, fellas, we spoke to an awesome young couple, army couple. She's a fucking lawyer, just got posted to Townsville. They were in the pool with us at Daydream Island.
Yes.
Names and pack drills fucking shall be withheld. And they were working with another property investment firm. Let's not mention fucking his name either. And they showed him a property in a certain area of Brisbane. They didn't like it for whatever reason, and they didn't fucking buy it. They're like, So we bought a unit on the Strand instead. I was like, fucking what? I said, yeah. Oh, sorry. They said we bought a unit in Townsville. I'm like, fucking what? She goes, oh, it's on the Strand. The first thing I thought of, Dane, was like, your fucking body corporate fees are going to be through the roof, and you've just bought a fucking 85 square meter fucking unit on level 8 on the fucking Strand in Townsville. I was like, fuck. It made me, I'm fucking getting goosebumps now. It made my skin crawl that we are still not reaching the right amount of defence members to stop them fucking buying properties in shit areas. Now, I don't want the chat to go nuts about Townsville again, like it does every time we fucking cross that bridge. But yeah, you've got to nail down, Megan, and I'm not giving you a slap on the wrist, buddy. I'm answering your question in a no bullshit, no fluff upfront manner, which I don't know if you know that's the fucking way we roll. Do not fucking buy a property outside of the areas that we recommend, because it's based on sound research, intelligence briefings, and data. That is all. Hopefully that makes sense, mate. Hopefully that makes sense.
Want to be softer.
I get fired up when people make fucking silly mistakes, and I'm like, we must do better to reach more people to stop them. Because how many times have fucking people jumped on here and go, yeah, we bought a property up there and it was shit.
Yeah.
So, well,
yeah. And not just Townsville. I spoke to a young bloke from Darwin yesterday, and he's like, I'm going to go and buy my own house in Darwin. I'm like, why? And it's like, because I want my own house in Darwin. Get this right. He's currently living on base at Larrakia. $250 a week he rent. $250 a week he pays in rent to live like literally near the center of town. He loves to go fishing, so he's got his own little fishing spot there, right? But what he wants to do is give up his $1,000 a month house to go out to the back of fucking Palmerston to buy a house for himself to live in and pay off to the tune of, I don't know, let's call it bloody $500 a week or $2,000 a month. So pay twice as much to live out in the middle of nowhere when he can live for $250 a week in the middle of Larrakia. So he's bypassing the ability to get a property that's going up in value from an investment perspective to go and buy his own home that's probably going down from that perspective.
And I walked into the office to come and grab my fucking grandpa fucking specs when you were there talking to that guy. And I didn't know what you were talking about, but now I do. And the one thing I heard him say on that call, he goes, yeah, I got it, but at least I'll have a house. And I was like, he's obviously fucking, trying to bloody rock the boat and be a fucking know-it-all. Now I know what you're talking about. He's like, yeah, I got it. I'm going to pay $2,000 a month, but at least I'll have a house. What, in fucking Larrakia? Sorry, in fucking Palmerston? Yeah. No thanks, champion. That's got fucking worse stats. I should have called him champion, but I don't even know what you're talking about. So, yeah, no thanks. It's like there's a reason, Megan, as you've said, they're pretty much a newbie. There's a reason, buddy, why this business is called Axon. They're in your brain. They're part of the neurotransmission system. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the education and what you think you know, and whether you're willing to be coached about working with people that come from your background and culture about getting a much different result. So, yeah, it's interesting. Hey, Dan, over to you quickly. Kira Brooks put an awesome little question up there, please, Noah. And I know this is something near and dear to your heart as well, Dan.
Yeah.
What suburbs in Brisbane would you recommend buying in? Noah, can you see the one from Kira Brook there, please? What suburbs in Brisbane would you recommend buying in?
I'm going to give you like a real big it depends fucking answer, Kira.
We hate doing that, but it's true.
It depends. But it depends at the end of the day. Put it this way, it'd be like you walking into the doctor's surgery and saying, I've got something sore with my leg, and him going, no worries, I'm going to do surgery without even doing an x-ray. So I'm not going to try to give you like, this is the right thing for you, because I can't do it. And it'd be like just saying, hey, mate, go and have a look at this. But we've spoken about it a few times. It comes down to 7 ingredients to the healthy property market: education, medical, retail, transport, booming population growth, diminishing land supply, and also having the best master plan communities and community services around the area. Nail those 7 things and you're going to be okay. But what is right for you is not right for everybody. And so the right property for me in Brisbane won't necessarily be the right property for Robbie in Brisbane, won't be the right property for Dane in Brisbane. So individual circumstances dependent, and that's why I'll give you an it depends answer of it could be wherever. Because you might be like, I'm only willing to, or I'm only able to spend this much. But the best area in Brisbane might cost this much. So it doesn't matter if it's the best area in Brisbane, because it's not the right area for you.
Yeah, you might not be able to afford it. Might not suit your long-term plan. And to be fair, Rochelle, again, another new name, which is amazing. House buying rookie here, got 2 years left in Amberley. Where would you buy under 500K? You know, there's probably 15 different suburbs and or master plan communities around Amberley. And I know that you're now nodding your head going, yes, that's why I'm asking you the question, Buffhead, which one should I go into? Every suburb has a different, all the different infrastructure is there. And therefore, again, it would be silly for us to go, Rochelle, never met you before. That fucking house for you in that suburb or even that master plan community will be perfect. It would be negligent for us to do so. So I guess it might be, it might be a good little sort of segue, since how there's a few new people listening in tonight. So this time next week, we're running our first ADF property full training video. It's a Facebook Live like this. You're going to be able to interact with us live just like this, but it goes for about 90 minutes. And there's a few different presenters that come in and out, including my wife, Tamara, who's the co-founder of the business. So you'll have an opportunity to engage with a, defense spouse. And I'm the fucking biggest buffhead in the world. So if she can, stick with me for the last 10 years, she's got a little bit of, a little bit of experience about her. But we're going to have about 60 slides that we're going to go through as well. It's not just us having a chat per se. We're actually going to teach you and show you step by step exactly how it is. You can use it so it's answering all these questions right here that we've got tonight.
Yeah.
So for people like Rochelle and people like Megan, etc., and even Kira, by the way, or Kiara, whatever it is, I apologise. If you have not booked in to that event that Noah's placing in there right now, please do yourself a favour and get your ass to next Wednesday nights, to make sure that, you're not going to miss out on the full width and breadth of everything that we're doing. Because right now we're just answering questions out of the blue. And that's exactly what tonight's all about. But at least you'll have an understanding from a proper sequential and, fairly well put together presentation that we're going to go through everything for you. So yeah, please make sure you come along to that event for next week. Already booked in, lads. Rochelle, you're a bloody superstar, mate. So I can't wait. You'll have the opportunity to book a free discovery session with us where we can just block out all the noise, speak to Dane or speak to Dan and go, all right, fellas, this is my circumstance. What do you now think? Where should I buy, etc., etc. And from there, sorry, Siri, I'm speaking to Dane. We'll be able to put a plan together for you, Rochelle, so you don't stuff it up, quite frankly. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. What else? Actually, we've got a couple of other comments.
If you go way back, the one I wanted to talk about was from Huey Allen. And it's on my favourite topic at the moment, which is Dohas, because there's if anyone hasn't been following our page at the moment, there's a post on there that Robbie's talking about Dohas. I'll tell you what, there's the olds and bolds of the veteran community, those people who have transitioned out, who have got some real concerns about the Dohas system and how they can't get their fingers on it anymore. You
answer that. I'll be back in a second. I can't drink 3.5 litres of water a day.
So there you go. You're being so much grief from your wife, mate. What happens when you take out a Dohas loan to buy your house, but then, Dane, then it comes time to leave the military? What do you need to do with that Dohas loan?
Well, it all depends on how long you served, right, Dan? So if you've got enough credit and you want to leave and go, all right, well, I'm going to go do something else, I'm not going to partake in active reserves, you're pretty much going to have that credit till it runs out. However, if you want to get around that and you do, say, 20 days a year is the magic number if you become a reservist. That will allow you to keep your Dohas ticking over. So, Huey, if you did 8 years and you get out, you'll be at tier 2. If you would continue doing 20 days a year, you would still tick over at that tier 2. All the way up and you'll go into tier 3. And so it's a bit different, bit longer time frames as a reservist, but you can keep it. You don't lose it. But it all depends on what you do outside of the military afterwards.
Yeah. And I suppose just to piggyback off what Dane said, it all depends what you do after when you're in the military. All that's going to happen is that's just a subsidy that's coming into your loan from DVA. That's not like NAB's we can facilitate that money coming in. All you need to do is nothing. You can just leave that loan sitting in place and Dohas continues to get paid into there until it expires. And then you just still continue to have a loan with NAB or AMB or whatever, whoever your Dohas provider is. You just continue to have a loan with those. If you then need to refinance away from it, you go and speak to your broker and you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, whoever's working on your team there, let's go ahead and I need to refinance away from NAB or AMB or Def Bank or whoever your provider is in order to make that happen. So in short, mate, you don't really need to do anything, but just keep in mind there is a time limit of 5 years. So if you decide that within 5 years of you getting out of the military, you're going to go and buy a new house for yourself to live in, you and your family to live in your new chosen location. If you want to move your DOHAS across to that property, you need to get your DOHAS certificate within 5 years of getting out of the military so that you can transfer that across to your new property.
Actually, I've got a comment. I was obviously just in and out then. I left the bloody exhaust fan on. Sorry, everyone. I had a great conversation today with Ben, who's online here. He's over in fucking ISO again, the poor bastard. Veteran, got out 7 or 8 years ago. Now working FIFO over in Perth, doing the hard yards there up on the mines, using his specialty skills as an engineer. Him and his missus are thinking about buying their dream home early in their dream location, but they want to try and squeeze some of the ADF housing entitlement. It's down near HMAS Albatross, down in Nowra, right? Which is a beautiful part of the world, and that's their choice, and fucking no worries.
Dream home. Doesn't matter if it goes down to zero.
That's right. But I guess what we're talking about there is that the local law doesn't have a posting orientation yet. So she can't use HPAS preemptively because HPAS is buying a home to live in that's in your current posting location. And you can't use HPAS, listen to me carefully for a sec, ladies and gents. I shared this with Ben, and I think he had a little penny drop moment. So I thought I might as well share it with everyone else. You can't use HPAS retrospectively. You can't buy a house and then go, oh, I bought this 3 years ago. Where's me fucking 11 grand after tax? I'm like, no, because it's home purchase, not home reimbursement assistance scheme. So I guess it's really critical that, and I know Ben was really thankful that we sat down and actually spitball what the different options were there, because, potentially if they go down that route, for instance, then, they're throwing away, and that's where they're going to live for the rest of their career. They're throwing away $11,000 because they're not being super smart about the strategy and the timing around when this property may or may not come into their sort of portfolio. So it just underpinned to me that, lots of people out there are thinking about buying their own home. They're like, fucking, as you say, Dan, we've all lived in a house our whole life. How hard can it be to just go buy one? But the timing of when and where you buy it, and how you do weave in a smart and measured way your government and defence grants is absolutely critical.
Yeah. And what you just picked a little bit of a memory for me there, which might come down a little bit to a brownie, where you were talking about how do we help people. There's another client of ours. She was in the army. He was a civilian, but it was the same deal with HPAS. She was about to deploy overseas, and it was like, we're buying our own home, and we're like, stop. Don't apply for your HPAS yet. You're still within the window. Go ahead, deploy overseas, get your HPAS tax-free, grab an extra $6,000 in your back pocket from that perspective. So it can be as fine a line as like within 2 to 4 weeks to make sure that you get the very best outcomes. But I mean, that's why it kind of irks me a little bit. And this is a little bit of a tangent, actually. I didn't know I was going to speak about this. That's why it irks me a little bit out there that we've got all these people who I like to call the pretenders out there at the moment. When people are out there and they're like, I won't name names because people will get the shits when I'm bagging out their business, but they're like, we've studied your defence entitlements for 2 years, so we know what it is to do with your defence entitlements. And I'm like, what do you mean you've studied your entitlements for 2 years? Like, to actually understand what the entitlements are and how to use them and how to operate within the system that is in defence, you need to go in there and live it and breathe it and understand it before you can actually start talking about that with any level of credibility from my perspective. So, like, ladies and gents, if you're out there and you're looking at other investment companies, because if you're anything like me, your Facebook feed's full of these investment companies, right? If you're looking at them and they're like, I know defence entitlements because I've read Pac-Man on the internet once. I don't know about you, but when I was in there, anyone who'd been in the military for 2 years still didn't even know where to find Pac-Man on the G drive or on the bloody Def Web. So yeah, it is what it is. There's a bunch of pretenders out there. Be careful. I don't mind if you do go speak to them, to be honest, but you'll quickly figure out that they're pretenders. And there's a lot of people out there trying to do what we do, but we're the only ones with over 100 years of defense experience we've got under our belt now. So growing every week from that perspective. So be wary of those people who are pretenders, I suppose, is my letter.
I actually love it. If I can just jump in quickly, I love it when a client comes to us and goes, yeah, I've spoken to like property groups before. You guys are probably just the same and stuff. I'm like, all right, no worries. You don't need to tell me who they are, but like, why aren't you still with them? Like, why? Like, oh, they just weren't right, responsive and, organised and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, but now you want to use your ADF entitlements. You don't want to talk to the civvies. You want to talk to the veterans. 10 veterans with 130 years of military experience exist within these these walls here. And the one other thing that this has never not tricked them up, even to the sturdiest, most arrogant fucking chest beating guy or girl like I used to be back in the day as well, going, nah, it's all good. You're just the same as the rest of them. I'm like, no worries. I said, well, when you go speak to your fucking perfect property investment firm, just make sure that they sit down and go through a proper risk management plan for you. They're like, what? The risk management plan, because obviously investing involves risks. So you want to sit down with your coach and mentor and talk about all the worst case scenarios and know what they are, put preventative steps in place. But then if it doesn't happen, but then if it does go ahead, you've got a cure there ready to go. They're like, what do you mean a risk management plan? I said, I rest my fucking case. We have a very detailed but easy to understand, simple, yet very peace of mind orientated risk management plan that no one else in the fucking industry provides you. Why? Because when you are anything above a fucking junior NCO in the military, you need to be able to learn how to plan. And what do you need to be able to do when you plan? Fucking mitigate risk. And guess what? You're in the right place as far as that goes. So, I love talking to people that have already got their own property advisor. I'm like, cool, man. Fucking go talk to them about shit you're never going to get from them then. Thank you, Dan. I didn't know I was going to talk about that today either.
Either did I. Something just perked up in the back of my mind. I'm like,
oh, I love it. I mean, look, here's the thing. There's dozens of people on right now that are all clients of ours already. We've got only another couple of minutes to go. So warm up the fingers, get them going. Head, heart, fingers. Let everyone else know how awesome is it that you actually go through a risk management plan with your coach before you even go shopping for a property. I'd love everyone. I'd love to know what everyone's thoughts are.
Absolutely.
Righto. Dane, let me bring you in for the last couple of minutes whilst everyone's typing right now. You had an awesome conversation, I understand, with a young guy today. Another Dan, another fucking client called Dan. Without sort of, no names, no sort of pack rules, just sort of give us is there any sort of stories from the trenches as far as that goes?
Yeah, man. So he actually, quite interesting. He's got a very interesting backstory. So he actually got out 4.5 years ago. When he got out, he was recommended by a psychologist that a possible medical discharge, which didn't happen. So he got contacted by a DVA. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. So we had a very long discussion. I think one thing I was talking to you about, Robbie, is when you're looking with Axon, the amount of people we have at our disposal, like we've got Hayley, and Hayley's going to be on here 1 week talking about all things DVA, because she's a DVA advocate. The amount of support you can get, not property related as well, that exists within those walls, is unfathomable. So he was able to, hooked up with there, could talk to her. So just a lot of the stuff that sort of it became a bit of a life coaching more than anything. Like we talked about everything. He was a surfer. I'm an avid surfer as well. He's joining AVS, which is a foundation. They get out there with veterans, they go for a wave, get a coffee, and just support each other. A lot of the stuff that sort of came through that, and I was really floating after that one. I was just like, he's a fucking awesome dude, an absolute awesome dude. So he's super keen. He's got a few things he's going to get done, a bit of homework from me as well, and we're going to kick off from there. So mate, I had a cracker with him, absolute cracker.
Yeah, I could tell like he was nervously excited about coming down and sort of sitting with you. It was good. He goes, "Oh, Robbie, how you going?" So he's obviously been watching us for a little while, which is good. Like I love it when people are not walking there going, "I wonder who these fucking Axon dudes are." Like if people, I had one guy walking about a year ago. I was like, "Fucking Robbie, good to meet you, man." He goes, "Oh, I feel like I'm fucking meeting the king." I'm like, "Just relax, mate. Go and sit down. Fucking, I'm no one special. I'll tell you that right now." But it's really cool, isn't it, Dane, when you're talking to someone who has been following us for a while, and certainly Dan, I know that you've done this dozens of times as well. That it just makes it easy, and you just get a little icebreaker out the way. You can see sort of Rob saying there, loving the down to earth and relatable lingo and mindset, etc., etc. So it just makes it all so much easier when you've got someone who's there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And then CJ's typed in, the risk management plan gives clarity, precision, guidance, and knowledge. Fuck, I should use those terms. You learn from yourself. Let you know where you'll be at any one stage throughout the entire process. Can't beat that. Thank you, CJ. That's awesome. Need to get on board with you blokes and get our dream house and property portfolio. Rob, mate, come along next Wednesday, bro. Watch the session. Book in a free discovery call. We'll get that up and running. And then you don't drive out the gate without your risk management plan. Kent Herman, as the most senior member on the call right now, that is absolutely true.
You know what? I reckon we pull up stumps there because a Herman started the chat, a Herman finishes the chat.
Yes.
That's right on an hour too.
So true, so true.
Next week. Noah, just you got the event up there for the session next week, so everyone can be here 6:30. Buddy, come along, got your question.
Share it with your mates. Let everyone, like, if you've got one tiny, Dean, if you've got one tiny bit of value out of tonight's session, there it is. Tag your mates in there, get them along. We're going to be here for you. See you on Wednesday night. Good job, boys. Thanks, Noah.